All right, we're gonna go inside this house. This was an eviction. It was a horrible eviction. It took almost 10 months to get this person out of the house. The property is trashed. This may be the worst I've ever seen. And no, I'm not talking about that house. I'm talking about this house that is hidden behind all these bushes right here. I'm here with Chris, our renovations manager, and we're also gonna talk about just how much money it's gonna cost this investor to rehab this house and get it rent ready, because it doesn't do anybody any good sitting here vacant. We need to put a resident in there and start collecting rent, but there's a lot of damage, so let's go check it out. Now we're out here at the back entrance of the property. You can tell this property is struggling. The outside is trash. It's probably gonna take somewhere around $1,000 to $2,000 just to get all this junk removed from the property. Something that you see here is you see a lot of overgrown bushes. Like, just to get a good estimate on this property, you probably need to cut out a ton of these bushes. I mean, look, we're talking probably $1,000 worth of tree removal, shrub removal, just to get a decent estimate. Chris, why don't you just tell us briefly the biggest ticket items that need to be replaced in this property?
House is going to require full rewire,
Yep.
all new plumbing, HVAC system, full paint, roof as well.
Landscaping, unfortunately, because you have overgrown trees outside.
Amazingly overgrown. In fact, you couldn't even see the house when you pull up at the front step. It is lots of work, lots of time. It's all certain things you got to think about.
But the great thing about this investor is he knows what he's buying, right? So he's ready to do the work, ready to get this property back up and rented. Time is of the essence, but he also understood when he bought it that it was going to have to be an eviction, and that just takes many, many months, depending on where you are in the country and how backed up the courts are. Okay, so let's talk about this deal, because this investor, who's a seasoned real estate investor, he knows what he's doing. He bought it as a part of a package. The problem is it already had a resident in it, and the resident wasn't paying when he purchased it. So he gave it to us to manage. And unfortunately, the courts are backed up here in Birmingham right now. So it took almost 10 months to get the person out of this property. We also had squatters in here. I mean, there was just a lot going on with this property. Like, if you're not experienced, if you don't know exactly what you're doing, then you're gonna be in for a world of hurt. But this investor has about 40 properties here in the city, and part of his strategy is buying in D-class areas and then renovating them, filling them with residents, good paying residents, and then just kind of turning the portfolio around, right? So he's buying these properties at a deep, deep discount, and he's willing to do the work, willing to do the rehab. All right, so here are the lessons we can learn from this property. Number one, unless you're a seasoned real estate investor, you have no business buying Class D neighborhoods. This is in a challenging part of the city. As a matter of fact, Chris, our renovations manager, was in here just the other day, and there was a guy across the street waving a gun around. These are the types of things that you just don't think about, especially if you're an out-of-state investor. You don't really know what the area is like. No matter what city you're buying in, you need to talk with somebody who understands the city, understand what you're buying. Then, if you're buying properties that have residents already in them, you need to make sure you do your due diligence and get repairs estimates as much as you can. Get the rent roll. You want to see, is the resident paying? Are they paid up? Is there a balance? Because when the investor bought this house, this person hadn't paid in a long time, and he was aware of that. And so we had to start the eviction process right away. Now, the challenge is that the courts are way behind. So this has taken 10 months to actually gain possession of this property. And then when we gain possession of the property, you see the condition it's in. It's insane. You should never, if you're a first-time real estate investor or relatively new, never be buying out-of-state properties that are in really, really bad shape, because no matter what you think is wrong with this property, there's gonna be a lot more. So all of the wiring has been stripped out of here. The plumbing is gone. The kitchen's completely demolished. Every room is demolished. They were burning fires in here. So this is an extreme case. And this eviction is probably one of the worst I've ever seen, the condition of the property. Plus the property is almost 100 years old. I think it's like 85 years old. You just have to be careful. You don't want to start off your real estate career buying a cheap property and then realizing it's going to cost you $60,000 to renovate and get it rented again. So those are the lessons we can learn from this property. Stay tuned for more real estate investor videos just like this.